What is going on? I wanted to tell you today about a deal that I was working and some of the complications I had, how I overcome it, and how I made sure that I closed this deal for this guy. So I had a borrower come into me from Boston, Massachusetts. And in Boston, he said, I want to purchase this multifamily unit. And what I'm thinking about doing is I actually want to turn it into a sober living facility. Now, sober living facilities, I'm passionate about, right? It's a place where it allows a second chance. And for an investor, it's even better because they not only get rent, but they get rent some do it per room, some do it per bed. And you can 8x your income from doing something like that. So that's similar to what me and my wife were trying to do. We were trying to do an assisted living facility. My wife's an RN, and one of my passions is that I would love to help people with Alzheimer's because my grandparents keep getting Alzheimer's, and it's something that's sad. So an assisted living facility was something that we wanted to do. So similar to this sober living facility, you pay per bed, right? So not only can you help, but it also turns into a passion project. With that being said, we're looking at a $750,000 purchase. I think it was a $300,000 budget, so we're a little bit over $1 million. And as the project started going, the gentleman said, well, you know what? I'm changing my mind. Instead of this sober living facility, I want to turn it into a condo, right? So in Massachusetts, now every state is different, and I don't truly even know all the laws, but in Massachusetts, I was told that you don't have to go through the whole condo association to convert your units into condos. And again, for an investor, instead of buying a 4-unit that is a quadplex, now you're turning it into 4 individual condos. Now, from a lender's perspective, if they're not in Massachusetts, they have no ideas about these laws and they get nervous. So as I'm shopping this deal with over 300 lenders, and they begin to talk about, well, does he have a whole HOA in place? Does he have bylaws? How many people are going to own it as their primary residence? How many people are going to use it as an investment? Because when someone is purchasing a condo from a regular HOA facility, these things are so important to a lender. And if you don't know, let me tell you, they want a ratio. And their ratio I don't know what the ratio is because it's going to be different for every lender, but they want to say how many people own these outright as their primary residence inside this facility of all these condos, and how many are investment properties that are being rented. The bank wants to take less risk, right? And when it comes to condos, one of the things that we have to do is we have to do a condo questionnaire. And part of that is to make sure that it's a warrantable condo. There's warrantable and non-warrantable condos. So all these things start popping up as I'm working this deal. Now, initially, this is a fix and flip loan. So it's not, your traditional DSCR 30 years, but it is a loan that will kind of get you out 12 to 18 months. And typically they're pretty quick to close and it's pretty easy. But when you start adding all these layers, what happens is from a private money lender or a fix and flip lender, whatever that looks like, they say, hey, what is your exit strategy? How am I getting my money back? Because this is going to be an interest-only loan. I'm financing the rehab. I'm financing 90% of the purchase. How do you get out of this so I get my money back? And if you are doing some type of conversion where it goes from a multifamily, it's zoned multifamily, and we're doing a conversion to something else, whether it's commercial, whether it's mixed use, whether it's condos, they want to know how are you going to refinance out of this? And, with conversions, some type of, switching of the property, you're looking at, you got to get it rezoned, you got to get permits, you got all the stuff has to happen. So as I was going deeper down this rabbit hole, I was getting more and more rejections, more and more no's. And then I finally found a lender who looked at it and they understood like what was going on. And as we continued down the path, the first hurdle was we have to get an appraisal. Now, it's a multifamily unit. That's what it is right now. and it's going to be converted into a condo. So the first thing we do is we order an appraisal, and it comes back as multifamily, which is fine because we need to know the value of it. But the problem is our ARV, our after repair value, after we finish the whole project, is based on condos. Now, yes, it is. If you have a multifamily unit, it's worth X amount of dollars. But if you're moving them into condos, they're going to be worth more because now you can sell each unit individually. Okay? So the appraisal needs to be more, or the appraisal should come back more with the after repair value, which helps the whole deal in general. So the first appraisal comes back, they pay $900. It's ridiculous. It comes back, and we're looking at it, and we're like, man, this ARV is off. And, at first it didn't click, but it's because the gentleman didn't look at it as individual condo units. He looked at it as one, multifamily fourplex. So now we have to go get another appraisal. Now the borrower's pissed off because he's like, look, I've been down this road before. Like, this is what happens. The lender, makes me do an appraisal and then another appraisal, and then all of a sudden the deal's falling through and he's out not only the money for the appraisals, but the time he's wasted. All right, so we have an issue, right? Now listen, I will work harder than no one else on your loan. I believe that 100%. So I said, listen, I'm going to meet you halfway. I believe this thing is going to close. I believe that the appraisal is going to come back with the right ARV because now we're doing 2 condos or 4 condos. Instead of one multi-unit, this is going to be 4 condos. Your ARV is going to be out the roof, and we're headed to the hills. So I pay for the condo appraisal, and it comes back with the right ARV, and what do you know? This lender starts switching up on us. Well, start asking about the HOA stuff, the permits. Is it going to get rezoned? And in Massachusetts, you don't have to do all of that work to switch to condos. At least from what I heard. I'm not an expert in that area. I'm only doing loans. But from what I heard, you don't have to do that, which I understood that. And I tried to explain that. And they said, no, you have to, we have to leave this as a multifamily unit. Now, the borrower's pissed because he knew it. He said, listen, I told you they was going to pull a slick move on us. I said, you know what? Don't worry about it. I got a plan B. I go back to the drawing board. I look at all my 300 lenders. I start calling each one. I said, this is what I have. Blah, 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 blah. This is what's going on. Blah, 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 blah. Da, 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 da. I get another lender. They say, look, Mike, we like the deal. The numbers work. Credit score is good. We understand what's going on. We'll take the deal. So now the first lender I was dealing with, I knew I was starting to have issues when they stopped responding. And that's the worst thing you could do to a borrower, to a broker, is you stop responding, because now we have issues. Because I'm trying to get stuff solved, and you're taking 2 days to respond, and we're trying to close this deal quickly. So I knew there was red flags there. So I called the lender, and I had to talk to their assistant because the initial, they call him the AE, account executive, was not picking up the phone. And I said, all right, I need to transfer this appraisal. This appraisal's going somewhere else. And at that point, now they know I'm moving the loan. And then the AE calls me. He's like, Mike, I want to let you know, we want to save the deal. It's just this one thing we have to do, get over, blah, 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 blah. And I said, it's too late, man. It's too late because you lost my confidence. You lost my confidence believing you, because you told me all we had to do was get this other appraisal and we would get it done, da, 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 da. And this is what you're switching at the last second. Not a good look, because at the end of the day, it falls on me. I'm responsible. I've read this book. It was called Extreme Ownership. It's about Navy SEALs, about all this stuff. And it says, as it happens, it all comes down to the leader. And right now, I'm the quarterback of this thing. When stuff like this happens, it all comes down to me. It's like when I think I'm at a restaurant and I get bad food and the waiter comes up to me, they take the hit. And right now I'm taking the hit and my name is on the line. I'm pissed because they told me this, that they can get it done. All right. So I take it to this new lender. Guess what the new lender says? Just one guess. Well, Mr. Gabriel, we need a BPO. And a BPO is another appraisal that is not, it's basically a desktop appraisal, so that it's like a broker's price opinion. So they don't have to do a full appraisal, but it's still another appraisal. So I reach out to the guy and I said, look, we got to do this BPO. It's only $250. Not a big deal. Like, no big deal. Let's just knock it out. And he said, send it over. BPOs only take about 24 hours, 48 hours. So I send him the money, BPO, or I send him the link. He pays for the appraisal, and BPO comes back. Now the new lender is saying, Mike, when he did this, when the first appraiser did appraisal 1 was the multifamily, did appraisal 2 with the condos, there was a mistake. We need to combine those 2 appraisals, and we need to get it back. So I call the first appraiser, and I said, listen, we need to combine these appraisals. We're sending this to a new lender, X, Y, and Z. He says, well, that's another $400. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. I was like, there's no way. This is going on the fourth appraisal situation that I have to deal with. 4 now for one property. And I go back, and I don't even want to tell the borrower, because I just know, like, again, it's just losing more confidence as we have to have, the first appraiser, the second appraiser for the condos, this BPO. Now he has to do some combination, and I pay for another appraisal. So this is the second appraisal that I pay for out of my pocket. So I'm in this thing $900. The other guy is in this for over $1,000. The borrower for the appraisals he pays. And I call him. I said, "Look, man, here's the deal." I said, "We had to get another appraisal. It's gonna take a couple days. This guy got to change some stuff. Blah 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 blah. Like, whatever the whole situation is, we're gonna get this thing closed." This lender, and I'm talking to the lender, and he's promising me. He's like, "Hey, this is what's gonna happen. This is what's going down. I know it is." So I'm confident again, because again, I'm quarterbacking this thing, and I believe. And if I believe, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm coming in with you. So I told the borrower, I said, we both have skin in this game. Let's get this thing closed. So the first appraiser, oh man, he was very unique, So we get the appraisal back. He spells the lender's name wrong. So I got to reach back out to him. I said, look, man, you spelled the lender's name wrong on the appraisal. You have to redo it. All right, he redoes it. He fixes it. And then there was another issue that we had where maybe it was like the wrong address or something. I had to go back with this first appraisal about 3 or 4 times just because of mistakes that he made on the appraisal. At that point, I'm sure he's frustrated. I'm frustrated. The borrower knows nothing of this, but I'm just keep going back and forth with this guy, like, fix this, fix that. We're hitting the deadline of like day of. And I'm like, this is what I need to do it now. And the guy's, he's moving it back and forth. Like, it took us a couple hours, but we finally got it done. And, the review team has to look at it from the new lenders. So the new lender's looking at it, the review team, and they come back, they're like, man, we like the deal, but there's just something that they weren't comfortable with. And I'm not sure what it was. And I think it was in the budget, and they wanted to move the loan $100,000 less. And I was talking to the account executive. I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, all this work we've done. I said, hey, you have no idea what I've been through with the first lender. I said, how do I explain to my borrower that, we've been doing this for 2 or 3 weeks straight, just back and forth every day. I'm touching this loan. Every day I'm making moves on this thing. How am I going to go back and shift his budget $100,000? That is crazy. He said, I understand where you're coming from, Michael, but, this is what I have right now. And it was day of closing. It was a day of closing, and they can close the same day, so it's not a big deal. They can fund the same day. So I reach out to the borrower, and I'm talking to him, and I said, listen, man, I do have some bad news. I said, we've done all these appraisals. That's what it was. We've done all the appraisals. Out of all 4 appraisals, it was coming back, let's say 1.6 is the ARV. And one of the appraisals, and I don't know which one it was. I don't know if it was the BPO or if it was the homeboy who was spelling stuff wrong. But one of them came back at like 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, $100,000 less than all the other ones. And I had to explain to him. I said, listen, this is where we are. I'm going to tell you, like, you need the $100,000. I said, we back out. I said, I probably could find someone else. I said, we back up. It's either this or we're going to bluff them and tell them we're leaving. We're going somewhere else, but we need that $100,000. So I go back to the lender and I said, look, man, it's going to be a no deal. It's a no-go, over $100,000. This is over $1 million loan. Everybody's making money on this. I said, please don't lose this over $100,000. So he goes to bat for us, the AE, and he comes back. We got it, Mike. We got it. I know, because the other appraisals, they're showing this value. We're going to take that value. Done, cut that day. The whole point is persistence. That's what it was for me. The whole point was I'm in this with you. Like, if you come to me and you bring me a loan, I am in this with you. It doesn't matter if it's $100,000 loan or $1 million loan. Like, they all mean the same to me, and it's all about closing. It's all about getting this deal done, because I ultimately know part of the reason I'm even doing this, because one, I love to serve, and the second part is I'm trying to help you build your legacy, help you build your portfolio. And I know, like, for this gentleman, he had all these ideas of what he wanted to do with his property, and I thought it was great. I backed him 100%. I even put my money down on it and all of that. So all to say is, do some loans with me. If you've listened this whole time, get some loans done with me. I promise you, I will go to the end of the earth. Now, I'm not going to pull out my money all the time. I'm not paying for appraisals all the time. And I do get reimbursed if it closes at the end of the day. But the whole point is, I will make sure I get your loan closed. Thank you for listening. DM me, reach out to me. I appreciate it. And talk to you soon.